courtroom, held in a jail cell adjoining that's adjacent to the courtroom, and then there's a big wooden door that they pass through. I think the photograph with the bailiff may have shown it. When he walked in the courtroom, what did he do?
When he walked in the courtroom, the first thing he'd do, depending on what courtroom we were in, he'd walk in, and if in fact he's walking to the table this way, the judge would be over here, the audience would be over here. He'd walk in and he'd scan the audience looking for good-looking women. He'd pick one out. That's the one he was going to look at. He'd go face the judge. Now when it's time to recess for him to get up, everybody had to remain in their seats, and he'd get up and just smile and stare and give her winks, whatever he wanted to do, and he'd walk out. Want me to tell him about the attorneys?
Yeah.
Okay. So one day, sitting there at counsel table, testimony's going on, the bailiff says, "Hey, phone's for you." So I get up and I go sit next to the bailiff, and I'm talking on the phone and finish my call, hang up, and now they're going to recess. Richard gets up. I had noted there were two attorneys. They were dressed to the 10th. They were very nice looking ladies. Reminded me so much of my wife, and very attractive. And so they walked in and they sat on the aisle. So there's nothing between, the aisle's right here, and Richard's going to walk in front of them. And he had noted when they walked in, they smiled. As he's walking on the way out, the one on the aisle side looked at him, he smiled, and she opened up her legs. She did that and blew him a kiss, and I'm saying, holy Jesus. And I went back and I told my partner, I said, "Hey, I want to get arrested. Is this what goes along with the territory?" I mean, there were all kinds of women that would go in there to look at him, and some very ugly, some very attractive. But these were, you'd think they were smart, business attorneys. And maybe she was just joking with him. I don't know.
And there was one other behavior that I thought was very curious, and it turns out that it was associated with Richard's business aspirations, his sunglasses.
Well, that he wanted to wear, he didn't want to take off his sunglasses, and he left them on. And then we got him with pictures, sunglasses, the same ones that he wore in there. And there were things in it, he wore them, and God bless her, Sophie Dickman was a spry lady in her late 60s when this happened. She had worked the psychiatric ward over at USC Medical Center and worked the emergency room. She'd seen all kinds of stuff. And she testified that he was, because he actually sexually assaulted her. And she said he was quite a handsome young man. And she was afraid that because he couldn't maintain an erection that he might be embarrassed and kill her because he couldn't maintain it out of embarrassment, but he didn't. And when she said in courtroom that he was quite a handsome young man, Richard turned around. He was embarrassed then. And he looks at me and he says, "That wasn't me." And I'm saying, "You sick individual, sick man."
Didn't he express to you at one point that he thought he was going to establish his own line of sunglasses?
That I don't, if it was ascribed to me, maybe I told you that, I don't know. Was I on my second glass of wine? I don't.